speak to you about creative industries, and that's because I've been teaching creative arts and creative industries for a long time. I used to teach theatre, then I taught creative writing because I'm a poet, and then I've been teaching artist books and exhibition display and creative industries. I don't teach design. I think my colleague Sam was here last year, and he spoke, I think, to the class ahead of you, and he understands design, but I'm not. I am the parent of 3 children. One is a musician, and one is a game designer, and one is a media producer, and my husband's a museum curator. So I'm just full of the whole creative world. And it's very exciting. And I work now in the Faculty of Arts and Design. It's good, yeah. Faculty of Arts and Design at the University of Canberra. And in our faculty, pretty well everything we do is training people in skills associated with the creative industries and understanding conceptual frameworks and actually hands-on practice about creative industries. So everyone who's enrolled in one of the creative degrees does a lot of time making creative work, making design work, using augmented reality. So we've got 2 schools, and I have crossed out those disciplines that aren't about the creative industries. I'll go to that quickly. They are, so you can see that the majority of what we teach is actually about creative industries. And what the creative industries are about are producing stories and images, building communities, building a sense of shared culture, communicating in new ways and effective ways to various audiences, telling us stories about the past and what it might mean for the future. That's what museums. Designing objects in ways that make them more efficient, more effective, more sustainable, and more pleasing to the eye and the hand. There's a lot of bodies involved in creative practice. We also aim to create more sustainable buildings and buildings that are fit for purpose. So using materials in new ways, using new materials in old ways. So changing some of the parameters of how we operate. And of course, designing the lived environment, gardens and parks and cityscapes that can keep people in shelter, safe, comfortable and energized. The 3 I've crossed off as being not about creative industries are actually also part of the broad area in which we teach and research, but they aren't creative because they aren't about the creative world. Their job is not to make meanings. Their job is not to communicate ideas and ambitions. Global studies and international development are, yes, they're very much about people and communities. But what they're concerned about is politics and government and trade relationships. They're not making meanings. Their job is to teach people how to keep the global community functioning. The 2 on the other side, building and construction management, building information modeling. Look, the first one is about making things, building and construction management, and about building stuff. So just getting out there and making it happen. Drains and bridges and apartment buildings and houses. And building information modeling uses a lot of the same technologies that we use in design and digital media. So lots of software, lots of 3D printing, lots of augmented reality, the stuff that I think you probably use, so thank you for doing design. So you're used to using these technologies. So they use those in building information modeling, but they don't use them to make something new. They use them to get the material, get the data right so that you can, so that the building management people can do it. So their job is instrumental, it's operational. They're asked to operationalize an idea that came out of creative industries and turn it into something useful. This is a diagram. There's lots of ways of understanding creative industries, but this is pretty comprehensive. It's a diagram of the sorts of what I call the domains of practice that make up the creative industries. And you can see it's really varied. There's food, which is culinary. Culinary comes as food, cooking. It goes from food to fashion. It goes from architecture to visual art. Some of the terms you see there are ones you might not think of as being particularly creative or part of the creative industries. computer service and software, for instance, don't sound very creative or artistic, right? But it is about creating. They make new programs that do things in different ways. They make new technologies, new hardware that allow us to see and do things in ways that otherwise wouldn't be possible. All the other terms that are there, arts, obviously, crafts, design, video, production, interactive games, all of those are very much about the creative world. But there's odd things there. Just be conscious of the fact that it's quite a broad field of practice. Also, in each of those areas, there's do you have a continuum, a long line, everything that could be the case, and they work in different ways. So we've got a continuum there. For instance, take fashion is on a continuum from the impossible clothes nobody can wear to ordinary t-shirts and things. So they're also from very high-level global producers down to people who are working in their own studios or their own living rooms to make things. So it's actually very broad, from highly commercial to very much personal, creative, and expressive. Here's an image I really like. That lovely red outfit there was on Vogue, in Vogue in this year, 2024. No one's going to wear that, right? You're not going to go to shopping in that. It's gorgeous and it's weird. It's using material in really different ways. It's using structural shapes in really different ways. It's not useful in terms of being able to go to gardening and shopping and go to school, but it's useful in learning things what we do with our materials. What can we do with shapes and designs? And on the right-hand side, that's what I live. I live in black t-shirts most of the time. And it's very, very practical. Once upon a time, a designer thought, t-shirts look chic, that'd be happy and nice. That was a long time ago. But ever since then, they have become what we wear also every day. In fact, none of you are wearing black t-shirts. My black t-shirts in my bag, I fashion for a dress. So we use the word fashion for t-shirt. We use the word fashion for the whole term. When it comes to culinary, to food things, we use the word culinary for a hot dog that you buy from a street vendor, as well as from the work of a Michelin-starred chef in a major expensive restaurant. And it is important to recognize that when we think about what the creative industries actually are. Across all of them, split back to that side, they're all making things. Some of those things are material objects, like dishes, and dresses, and chairs. Others are immaterial. They are like music, which gives you feelings. They're like the effect of playing a video game. They're like a novel where you can imagine yourself into another world, immaterial. But they're still about making something. The creative industries is where the thinking and the conceptualizing, where the imagining and the experimenting happen. It's where a person or a group of people come up with new and exciting or new and more useful and practical, sustainable ways of doing it to make something. Just the way that the t-shirt is the end point of fashion design. There's other practical useful objects. I mean, think about refrigerators or chairs or, cars, vehicles. The ideas behind them start in design. They start with creative makers and thinkers. But the chair itself, the fridge itself, the car itself, their job is to perform a function, to keep our food cold, to give us somewhere to sit, to take us from there to here. So they have what's called use value. They get a job done. In the creative industries, it's not so much about getting the job done, but about imagining things we don't yet know. If we want to have, we do want to make profits in the creative industries, but the main thing we want to sell is thinking, doing, feeling, and imagining. Now, all those domains include individual hobbyists and makers, freelance operators, small to medium-sized enterprises. Small to medium is up to 19 or 20 employees, so quite little, all the way up to huge global corporations. Every one of those domains runs the whole gamut, from a single person on their own to a national or a global corporation. Anything bigger than just me, myself making needs some sort of organizational structure. And I'm telling you this because the creative industries are industries. We are, you're designers, I'm a poet, an artist. We are actually, although we're kind of very creative, we're also part of the industry. And any industry needs a structure in order to be able to manage its functions. Here's this pretty standard organizational structure for a mid-sized museum. I tell you it's true because this is where we find jobs. I'm a poet. I've never seen an advertisement for a job for a poet. But there's other ways in which I can use my poetry, my use of poetry. So museums and galleries range from private collections of art and heritage museums. Then they have local museums like the university might have a museum or the suburb. There are regional ones, there are national ones, and they're actually world-scale museums. They all need oversight if they are a private museum. In this case, they're overseen by a board of governance. The board of governance will check, make sure that everything is being done properly. They need senior managers. In the case of this will be a mid-sized museum. In the case of this one, they just have one director. A bigger museum has a whole lot of deputy directors as well that manage different aspects of it. They have a number of different categories of activity and function, and they all need people. So in this case, they've got a curatorial team. Those are creative industries people. They understand the history of art of objects. They understand the feeling, how to hold an object, what an object is made of, how to manage it. They understand the stories that are told by those objects, and they understand how to communicate that to audiences. Education is also loosely part of the creative industries because a big part of creative industries is making, but also disseminating. In other words, communicating what was about and what it might be. So most mid-sized museums do have an education team, and they are training usually children in how to look at things, how to handle objects, how to appreciate them. They've also got a development team and the operations team. Those are not creative industries at all. They're very, very industry. They manage budgets, and security, and infrastructure, and staffing, and all the rest of it. And in bigger museums, I used to work for a museum, and I was their editor, and we had a book design group, and we had a whole swathe of writers, so there was also a publishing aspect to it. So the bigger the museum, the more of these teams of people, some of whom are creative, some of whom are not, all working together to make the organization work. It's the same in pretty much all the creative domains. The same kinds of problems, the same kind of functions have been managed to achieve the goals. So why do the goals of the creative industries matter? One reason we see in the literature is that all of us, whether we know it or not, are doing creative and cultural things all the time in our everyday lives. We listen to music on the radio or CDs or Spotify. We watch movies and TV shows. We might learn a bit of drawing just for fun, not even for work. We tell stories and we are told stories. And stories can be as simple as talking to your friend about what or could be an imagined story, or could be your account of what's happening in your city. Most of us at some stage of primary school children have been in school concerts and done some performance. We read books, we go to comic shows, we learn new languages, we play games on our smartphones. All of these are creative and cultural activities. And that's what pretty much everybody does. And they can only do it because the creative industries generates the product, the content, and the experiences. It's also important to think about how the creative industries are delivering what's needed, because making and consuming creative material is something humans seem always to have been doing. We can go right back to the ancient cave paintings and see representations of what is actually creative communication. The drawings are not just as someone was doodling on the wall when they're bored, they are telling things, they are recording things, they're figuring out how the spoken world works, and very often they're also teaching. They're ceremonial, they talk about what they give as gods, or they give as death, or before life, and those are all communicated in those drawings. It's ways of understanding the world. In Australia, the indigenous communities in Australia, they've got 60,000 years plus of history there. And so there's actually quite a lot of rock art. And the rock art from different parts of the country tell us a lot about what people were thinking and how they were understanding the world and how they were trying to communicate it, always in fresh ways, using some traditional forms, but using it in different ways, and then bringing in new forms. And it's amazing stuff to look at. This little photo here is taken by an anthropologist called Jenny Hunter, and it's taken in Arnhem Land, which is quite a remote part of Australia. It shows obviously a couple of contemporary children, and they're looking at a big chunk of important rock art in an overhang. So it's a semi-cave, not quite cave, but it's got the shelter in it. I want to show you this picture because ancient Indigenous Australians used art for all the reasons that all ancient did: ceremony, communication, meaning making, memory. But we know that they also use it very much as a classroom, as teaching space. There's evidence that adults who were properly trained and had the authority of the tribe would get the children around front of a particular artwork and use that to teach them about their culture and their environment. So here are these children of the anthropologists doing the job actually, and they're put in the image to remind us how important creative spaces are for communicating knowledge and understandings. Same anthropologists tell us that while everybody in those ancient communities did singing and dancing, painted rock art, storytelling, there were people among them who were specialists, people who had been trained, and people who had been authorized, or sort of, everyone agreed that they were the right person to train others, because specialist skills require specialist training. And that's why we have universities, where we teach and research and learn these things. What we don't need to be taught to do is to be creative. Creativity doesn't need to be trained into us. It's a question that has been worrying philosophers for millennia. What is creativity? Why do people do these things? Not just people. Why do vampires? Why do rats? Why do dogs do things that are interesting and often quite creative? It's because they've got brains, apparently. Our brain is the living brain is a creative thing, and we all have that. Nonetheless, we don't know a lot about creativity. I put this word cloud because it's kind of it shows so much of both the right conceptions and the misconceptions about what is creativity. You see, they talk about cleverness, and they say genius. It's really important not to believe that. There is no correlation between high IQ and high creativity. Really, really brilliant people like Albert Einstein, don't pursue creative practice. So a high IQ is not a good measure of creativity. Some of the other things are ingenuity, which is thinking in very interesting ways. Imaginativeness, which means being able to picture something that isn't there. Vision, seeing something that might be. Resourcefulness, being able to get things done. Imagination, those kind of attributes are actually marks of high levels of creativity. Everyone's got it. Some of us use it more than others. Everyone has creative capacity because, as the psychologist John Winnicott says, all of individuals are creative because it belongs to being alive. So if you're alive, plus you're creative. But then if you want to work in the creative industries or be a creative practitioner, you need to pay attention to your creativity. It's easy to ignore it. You have to make yourself stay open to the promptings and the flashes of insight and inspiration that are part of being creative. And I don't know what it's like in design, I do know that in poetry, if I don't pay attention to what my brain is telling me, and ignore phrases or interesting things, after my brain stops telling me that, I don't write much poetry. So I think it's really, really important as a creative to remember that yes, you already have creativity. Now what you need to do is be alert to it, aware of it, respond to it, and take what your brain gives you about creative inspiration and insights and do something with it. So for those of us working in the field, designers and writers and artists and heritage people, it's a passion. We come to it usually because we are really keen. Otherwise we will be accountants or lawyers. Right? We don't do that because we're passionate about this. But it's also a career for most of us. Hopefully it becomes a job, becomes a career. And that raises a slightly scary thing in our circles, that's artificial intelligence. Many of the people in the creative industries are anxious about the impact of artificial intelligence. Designers say they're afraid their skills won't be needed when computers take out the solutions that designers would come up with in the past. Architects are afraid their skills won't be needed when a program can design a building that's fit for purpose. Musicians are very worried about machines taking over the music industry. Software writers are actually being nudged out of coding jobs because AI can do it faster, and so on. I want to show you a short film that talks about some of this anxiety. It's reporting on a company called EA Electronic Art that makes digital interactive entertainment, video games and full emotional games, and it's upsetting people in the sector. Now, I might need tech help for this. Can you give me a hand to get a video up? Because I'm not very good at this side of things. Don't think, unless just look at something. Oh, it's okay. It seems to be the screen. Volume. So I need to get the volume up. Things always taking longer than anything else. No, there's still no volume coming through that video. I don't think we can get the volume going. I'll tell you what's going on here. What's happening here is that EA has figured out how to let ordinary people design their own games. And they're doing it using natural language instead of coding language. So this guy is talking, the guy who's chatting on the left there is panicking about AI. The man in the middle is a company person. He said, these people have decided they're going to make a video game that is located in a world of cardboard boxes. There you are, cardboard boxes. And the people say, oh, I want help. And you can see the AI conversation on the side. So that's the generative AI bot, and that's the people. Sorry, other way around. Make it multi-level, done. You can see it getting bigger. Make 2 characters with weapons. And it's absolutely extraordinary. Sorry, you've got some volume on? The font doesn't matter. The font doesn't matter. So these 2 people who are gamers are building a game on the run by just asking the bot to make them. We want a cardboard box world, here it is. We want a multi-level, here it is. We want guns, here they are. We want to be able to kill people only with grenades, here they are. We want to play. So it's really, it's amazing because you can make a game without code and without knowledge of game development. And that's astounding. This is the salesman, this is the director of the company who's saying, this is amazing. We're the first time we've been able to allow you to make your own games using natural language. Isn't this fantastic? This guy, who's a game designer and a critic, is really freaked out about it. And he says the problem is that it's good for companies because they can sack all the game developments. People just go and make their own games. They can fire every 3rd level designer, he just said. Let me got that. So a big company using AI to take over jobs, take over our jobs. And that is very worrying. I feel less worried than they do, not because I'm not a game designer, but because that was a boring game. There wasn't anything fresh in that game. There were no new ideas, no new narrative, no new meanings. What we saw was just people saying, let's shoot, throw grenades, and blow everything up. And that's so old hat. I mean, I'm 1,000 years old. When I was a kid, video games were like that. So nothing new coming along there. And that's because those are things that come from human creativity and from training, not from an enthusiast and not from a super smart machine. And I think you should feel quite confident that is actually that there will be jobs for you that AI is not going to just take away, because AI can't. It's a tool. The AI effect is obvious in design sectors and other creative industries, and whole categories of people are losing their jobs. But there is the same sorts of jobs that people in the manufacturing industries lost about a decade ago, when manufacturing was automated. It used to be that everyone's dad worked in a factory, and now robots work in factories, and everyone's dad has to do something else, right? And that's scary because it means it's a social change, but it's not the end of the line. There are other jobs to do. There are other ways of building a life and making a career. And AI is a tool. It's not a complete change of the world. It's also, I think, it's worth being comforted about. Sorry. That's good, yeah. I think what you can comfort yourself about is that employment levels in the creative industries are rising all the time. Not in the basic, write that line of code, not the basic, move that thing from here to there, but in the conceptual and the making ones. The jobs of the present, to a large extent, and the jobs of the future, to a very large extent, will be problem-solving jobs. Jobs about innovation and communication. Jobs about reimagining and about connecting people with people. And that's something that AI can't do. It's a brilliant tool, but it's not very creative and it's not very human. I listened to an expert in AI, he's a global expert, he's been working in AI for a long time. He said the reason people worry about AI is the word intelligence, artificial intelligence. He said they're not intelligent, they're tools. Just like a hammer is really intelligent for hammering nails in, but it can't do much else. I thought I'd check this out, so I asked a bot to make me a graphic of the creative industries. And I seem to have lost the capacity to play this slideshow. Oh, here we go, the current slide. Don't. Right. Claude.ai is a particular generative AI tool people are talking about a lot. So I thought, okay, I'll ask Claude, can you make me a graphic of the creative industries so that I could show you guys what a machine can do brilliantly? I thought I'd get something arty, something imaginative, something communicative, but Claude doesn't really understand that. So I said, can you make me an image? Yes, says Claude, I'd be happy to do that. This image provides a simple, iconic representation of the various creative industries. It's not actually very clear, but trying to do something, and so give the machine props for doing that. So can you make it more artistic? Can you make it more representational? Sure, he says. I'll make more visually engaging and symbolic. And it's kind of funny because it looks like a beetle. The creative industries is a bug. And you can see here's the music, there's the antenna, here's the camera and brush and thumb drive and so on. There's legs and the film canister, I think it's film canister, as part of its tail. So it's kind of funny, but it doesn't actually tell us anything about the creative industries, and it doesn't actually engage it very long either. So I tried it once more. I'd love to see it done as a metaphor. Yes, says Claude, do it as a metaphor. And now what Claude says about the metaphor being used is actually a perfectly reasonable one. Growth, development, diversity, interconnectedness, being rooted in culture and education, organic and unpredictable nature of creativity, endless possibilities. So those are quite nice words, but the image is so boring. I think it's boring. It doesn't tell me anything more about creative industries. It's not dynamic, it doesn't excite me, and doesn't really show me why I should care about creative industries, or in fact what they actually do. So Claude's a good AI tool. Claude is trying hard, but Claude hasn't got it. Claude can't understand the complex workings of the human brain. This one is actually done by people. Graphic assistant, you can say, it's going to be a graphic scientist. But I like it. It's about creative industries as well. I like it because it's all about people doing things, being interconnected, kind of having fun, and being creative. So it's not great art, but it's more dynamic than what the AI bot came up with. And this one comes from UNESCO. UNESCO is very interested in creative industries. And again, it's very busy. But if you spend a bit of time with that, you can see the interesting aspects of creative industries and how very embedded the creative industries are in the whole global community and economy. So they say the creative economy is the future of work. And that's something that most experts are saying, that the jobs of the future of work are going to be creative jobs. They're going to be creative because machines can only do so much. Because we as human beings, as a global human community, have sort of nailed the basic things. And now we have to do more complex things because we have damaged the world so much in time that we need clever, innovative, and creative ways of trying to fix things. What this actually means is anyone with good creative aptitude and with trained skills in creative industries, design, making, thinking, is going to be able to find a career path that is relatively AI-proof. Because there are things you can do that an AI machine cannot do. And a few examples. I've also been researching great careers for quite a long time. And so there are 2 or 3 stories. One, I talked to somebody who had completed a degree in theatre, performing arts. They did lots of acting and directing. But there's virtually no jobs for actors. And if there are, they're short-term and they're often not very well paid. So this person kept doing bits of acting but started reaching out. And they took their knowledge of performance into a career in workforce training. So what this person has been doing for 10 years is going into businesses and government departments and teaching people through scenario enactment, theatre sports games, how to be more effective in their jobs and their lives by learning quickly how to visualize a situation when a solution to that situation by being flexible and responsive. So that's a clever way of taking something that you're not going to have a career in anyway and taking the skills and their passion and helping them hopefully to a better place. Somebody else was trained in filmmaking. They did really good work with their student films. They won awards, got little jobs. But the film industry is huge and very varied, but there are very few jobs for directors. Certainly, there's very few jobs for people who want to be directors as entry-level employees. And the baseline jobs in the film industry can mostly be done by AI. So what else do you do? This person decided they still want to try and work in the area, so they started off as a runner for a film company. Then they became an assistant producer, and now they're a senior producer managing projects for a major company. Their job is about helping clients imagine what it is they might want to need, and then managing teams to deliver that. And again, it's AI-proof. AI isn't good at reflexive practice, and it's not good at people management. And one more, someone who did a creative writing degree, and of course found there were no jobs for poets and novelists. Because they're brilliant in the use of language and in narrative structures, because they had a very successful career working in the museum sector, they were able to take that knowledge and build a publishing industry around it. And that meant they're still kind of in the creative industries because publishing is creative industries. They're not doing their own writing, but they're really helping find new, exciting, innovative ways to communicate the ideas that are the galleries. Key issue is that for people who have the sorts of creative thinking, lateral thinking, and problem-solving attributes that are characteristics of the creative industries, there are always ways of building an excellent career. Just have to use that brilliant creative brain rules and think laterally. And finally, I'll just end up by saying it's worth noting that creative industries as a sector, I said they're growing with lots of jobs now. They're a very significant generator of both production and income. Worldwide, the creative industries contribute about 10% of the global economy. In Vietnam, the creative industry sector is still growing, it's fairly new, but already they're contributing up to 5% of the nation's economy. And that's a really big chunk, it's a very healthy chunk. The most rapidly growing area of the whole economy, the creative industries, because there's a global move towards services away from manufacturing. And this means that the employers and organizations need people who can think creatively and who can function effectively in a variety of roles. So what creative industries people bring to the table is transferable skills. Transferable because the kind of things you're doing in your workshop and studio, you can actually translate into working in an office or working in the field. You can do other things with them. These skills are in thinking and in planning, in organizing, in conceptualizing, in understanding the materials you're working with, in understanding the environment in which you're operating, recognizing where problems lie, and coming up with novel solutions to fix those, and then communicating that effectively. And I think this is why it's increasingly a significant field of practice, and a significant source of individual, national, global income. And perhaps most importantly, the creative industries are increasingly showing that they can contribute productively to solving the wicked problems, the apparently unsolvable problems of our time. I will leave it there. I'll still talk about 30 minutes, I'm not longer. Questions, comments, any discussion? You have chosen a good field. I've been talking to parents for about 25 years now, and their kids want to create a body subject. They say, there's no jobs. Why would I let my child do that? And I've taken through and I show them where the jobs are. They get a bit more relaxed about it. Question? Tell me what you're doing then. Doing design? Graphic design? Interactive design? No? Product design? You're doing graphic? Yeah. And do you actually do hand drawing as well, or just work all on screens? Yeah. And that's really important. I think that we keep our material skills up, our hand skills up. Because machines are wonderful. But if you don't know how to draw by hand, you don't know how to draw a machine either. So get those skills in place, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever form design. Anyone doing fashion? No, you've noticed. How about products, product design, industrial design? Designing chairs and thumb drives and you design. You're a nail artist. Look, it's great. I mean, most creatives are small businesses. It's usually a business of one person, maybe two. So if you're setting yourself like that and you're doing something interesting and innovative with nail design, that's fantastic. Yeah. You see your nails? Oh, cool. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Who else is doing something?
So, hi, sir. I'm actually a technology major student. So I want to ask, but I also interested in creativity and like media stuff. And so I want to ask, how can I balance between my hobbies and my major? Because I want to study both things at once.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Like I said before, most of us come into a creative industry training because we're really passionate about it. But also we do need to learn the skills that allow us to have a career. So how do you balance the hobby or the creative play with the technical drawing, the technical learning rather? And there isn't a single answer. One of the ways you can look at it is, one of the ways you can approach it is looking at what your university allows you to do. So can you do a major in technology and maybe a major or a minor in something that's more creative? And that will allow you to actually get credit as part of your studies. So you aren't trying to do a full degree and then get your creative work done on the side. You're doing that as part of your training. Otherwise, you just kind of have to do it on the side. And a lot of artists do their artwork on the side, in the space of time. But you can still think technology is actually a creative field. You know, it's such a rapidly growing area and so much really exciting stuff there. So at least you're training your brain and your eyes and your heart to think about being creative, to think about doing things in new ways, even if you aren't actually making what you think of as a really creative object. So it's a right track. Also, that creative career, it's a long-term project. It's a whole of your life project. So focus now on learning the skills and the ways of thinking and the conceptual understandings that you can take and you can build and expand it as you go along in the rest of your life. But if your university will let you do some study in creative as well as your technology, that's really the best option.
As you said, I can do technology as my major and art and design as my minor. Yeah. So I want to ask, do you have any advice for like to major me?
Advice for
For like if I want to do
the major design?
yeah.
I would definitely do it if that's what you want to do. And the technology is very closely connected anyway to design. There's so much technical stuff in design. We have, I mean, again, I'm not a technology person, but I spend a lot of time down with the technology suites and the machines that go ping and the 3D printers and the headsets that give you virtual world. I mean, it's all super technological. And you're a better designer if you've got a really good grasp on technology. And I think you're a better technology person if you've got a good grasp on visualizing, thinking creatively, design. So it's, I think if they let you do that, that's a really lovely way to go through your degree. And to satisfy your preferences, your heart, and also get the skills you need for your future. Anyone else? Wander around like Oprah. To be careful exactly what you do. What are you doing? What are you studying? Can you tell? Or were you shy? Too shy to speak? Yes, too shy. Oh, well, it has to be there. Anyone else is talk about what they're doing? You don't have to.
I have a question about the artificial intelligence. Like, as I told you, like I'm an illustrator, I work in art and drawing stuff. So, like, you said that AI is just some kind of tool for us to use. I can see that. But the development of the AI is kind of fast these days, yes. And how should I say? Like people can train the AI to draw even better, like follow some sort of styles, exact style. And those people also claim that they are somewhat of an artist. Yeah. So what is your opinion on this? Like, do you call them like artists or question the word?
That's such a good question. And AI is going very, very fast. And so a lot of us feel anxious about it because it's changing every week just about. Your situation, your question there, the person who is using AI and training AI to do better and better illustrations, are they an artist? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to be an artist? Are they thinking artistically? Are they training the AI to be more creative? If that's the case, that probably would be creative. But in most cases, it's not, because most people aren't training AI, they're just using them. Or they're training just to deliver a particular product. AI is really good at doing things like basic legal contracts. It's really good at gathering lots of data and putting it into clustering so you can use it. It's good at a lot of those mechanical tasks, but as you said, they're training them to go out and find those styles, but they're not developing new styles. They can't, at the moment at least, they aren't able to imagine a whole new way of making work. So they'll go back through the artistry traditions, and they'll find interesting bits there and put it together, but they aren't giving you the next thing we haven't seen yet. And what creatives are doing is a thing we haven't seen yet. I mean, before Picasso, we thought about breaking pieces up like that. We thought about that kind of cubism. An AI machine couldn't do that. The other reason people are anxious, this goes back to Socrates, 4,000 years ago to start. Socrates is one of the greatest philosophers of all history, of all cultures. And his way of philosophizing was conversation. We talk, we dialogue, we have disputes. During his lifetime, ancient Greeks started writing down material, started reading it. He was really worried about it. He hated that. He said you can never learn and you can never advance philosophy if you aren't in conversation. He was wrong. Right? We do, anyway. He was panicking because it was a new technology. Jump forward to Europe, a couple millennia later, and we've got the printing press. And now ordinary people in Europe are beginning to read and get cheap books. And this is terrible. People really panicked about this. This is going to destroy our civilization. When computers first came in, there was real panic about that too. They won't learn hand skills if they're just typing. They won't know how to do arithmetic if they're using calculators. You do. Just the calculator does the basic work for you, and you can do more difficult conceptual stuff. And I think it's exactly the same, the panic about a new technology. I think that's what we're seeing. You're students in the first quarter of the 21st century. When I was doing my first degree in the last quarter of the 20th century, I used a typewriter. And when I wanted to go to the library and find things, I'd go to the desk files, read through the little folders, find the card, it was the book, go to the shelf, find the book. Now I sit later in my office and hit a button, and the book all comes to me. Am I doing lazier work, less work? No, I'm just able to reach more quickly and use it effectively. And that's a good thing. Not having to type my essays is great, because I'm a really bad typist. Not being able to handwrite is even better, because nobody can read my handwriting, even me. So technologies are really good, they're very useful. AI, I think it's mostly terrifying because it's such a huge, fast, big technology with so much money behind it. There's enormous financial investment that makes it grow faster. But it is likely always to be limited by what is already out there. It's unlikely that it's going to be able to conceptualize and visualize something that isn't here yet. And that's where we creatives come in. We visualize the what isn't here yet. And then we can train AI to do it better, so we can just drop that and go on to the next really interesting thing. So that's what I heard. My son, who's a games developer, is convinced that the robot overlord is going to kill us all and the whole robot world. But he is dystopic. He has dystopic fantasies. I don't think it's anything like that bad. I don't think it's going to be much more of a problem. All the other things we've seen are problems. And I don't think it's going to affect your job as an illustrator. If you're working thoughtfully, reflexively, creatively, and staying on top of your game, knowing what other people are doing, knowing where you come from, and figuring out where it is you might want to go, you'll be faster and quicker than the AI machine because you're a human and doing exactly what it hasn't thought of. It can only scrape what's already there. You can scrape what's already there, use the machine scrape what's already there, and then jump ahead from that. So use AI for your first research, just like most of us go to Wikipedia when we first start thinking about something. It's not an authorized search as such. That's a good way to get some ideas about a topic and bounce off and find more rigorous material. Use AI the same way, let it do the gathering for you. Probably just about time to wrap up anyway. Can I thank you for your attention and your involvement? And I hope things go well. I don't know what to do next. Do you go up to a tutorial or stay?
One, two, three. Yeah.
Điểm danh nhỉ? Mình Bảo An, Cao Thị Hoàng Anh, Hoàng Phương Quỳnh Anh, Ngô Thị Mai Anh, Nguyên Quỳnh Anh, Phạm Vũ Anh, Nguyễn Thị Minh Anh, Nguyễn Xuân Đắc, Thái Ngọc Châu, Quế Chi, Thành Đạt, Đình Đạt,